he keeps telling me like all these kids at school have them, and
What are they? They're just stress balls?
I mean, I don't know that it's a stress ball, but
It's like a Stretch Armstrong or something.
I, as an adult,
I'm playing with this thing. I have no idea where this has been.
I would compare it to a stress ball. You know.
Nice.
But I think, kids are into the fidget stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's
fidget spinners and stuff.
Yeah.
What were you saying out there? The first sermon.
Let me first.
Okay,
Let me say first off that I have not always been a great person. I can't even say right now that I'm a great person. I am very flawed.
Nobody's a great person.
I've made many, many mistakes and bad choices that weren't even mistakes. They were bad decisions. I have negatively affected my life and other people's lives. I'm very much like I go to church.
Are you trying to get out of the death sentence?
I'm just saying I go to church because I am a sinner, right?
Right.
And I believe that regardless of the religion, that there is an order in life, and I do believe that we have our soul, which is of a higher level, a higher frequency of goodness, right? And so if I try to relate anything that I have learned in church or in any of that type of like spiritual capacity, I'm just sharing my perception of what I've heard and how that may apply to my life or the lessons in my life. I
don't think you have to shy.
I'm not like
I
a
think
preacher,
people understand.
right? Like I'm not any sort of preacher.
No, I think people would understand that, and I while I applaud your trying to like step aside from your
I have
like, are you a Christian?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, then that's fine.
I have struggled in life, and for me personally, I have very much benefited from having a relationship with my higher power and with God.
Can I ask you, so like the reason that you want to explain that you've had struggles and that you haven't made the right decisions and that you are a sinner, the reason that you want to explain that before starting to talk about like the faith or the sermons or anything that we will talk about, the reason is are you trying to eliminate that like that notion that Christians are all good people and they always do good things?
No, it's because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite.
That's kind of what I'm saying though, like, because that's what a lot of people have a view of, not just Christians but people in religion. Like, you're going to you're going to the sermon
you're
today,
going to church, so you think you're better than,
you think you're better than everybody else. I think based off of our podcast and based off people knowing you by now, like, I don't think anybody has that, but I also understand the reasoning of saying that. That's all, because I would say the same thing. Had I started going to church, I'd be like, dude, we already do it on here when we talk about being mindful. Like, we're not fucking perfect.
Well, I know that there are people that I've hurt. Yeah. And, we're trying to do this and promote this and speak on who we are and things in life. And, I don't want to speak on these things about how I feel and where I'm at in life and my perception on things without making it known that like it is from these hard lessons and trying to be mindful of these lessons in which I know that I've hurt other people. Yeah. I don't want people to see that and say, oh, look at this, look at this guy, thinks he's
like, does he remember the fact that he hurt me this one time? Yeah.
All like,
X, Y, and Z.
We don't need to list off the ways that Chris has hurt people, because Chris has done far more damage in life than, I've ever, like, if I could ever go back and redo life, there'd be a lot of things different. My kids have been a big jump off for me on trying to be a better person and a better man. But even with kids, I have made some very bad decisions and still do on a regular basis. And something that was said in a service last week was something to the effect of we know that something isn't good, but we keep on doing it, and I think we all know that, right? Like we all struggle with that, participating in something or doing something that we know isn't good for us, but we just keep on doing it.
Pull that
And
mic just a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
and you know, that's something to me that resonated a lot with me because the things that I think I struggle the most with in life are things that I know how to go about differently or that I should go about different, but I don't because of the uncertainty or the fear attached or the doubt attached. And um, it's there are things in which I would like to do differently in life that show up on a regular basis for me that I can see I want to do something different and I don't. And so, recently over the past few months I've been really trying to look at that. Like why am I doing or not doing things in life? Where does that come from? And why am I not? And um what I was saying out there is a couple weeks ago there was a service in which it was talking about purpose and we have a hard time in general, I think, finding purpose because we struggle with our identity. And when you go to scripture, there's a lot of information in there that um, speaks to your identity. And when you start walking through life trying to incorporate, scripture into your life, not necessarily like walking around being a street preacher or Bible thumping or anything like that, but like when you're drawing on lessons that you've learned or things that you've read as you go through your daily life, um, like I think we should all apply things that we know are better or that we're learning, right, to try and grow ourselves. And um, I think we all struggle with our purpose, and what our purposes are and how we define ourselves, and to find your purpose, you have to have some identity. And that's a source, scripture is a source that we can go to help define our identity. Once you have defined who you are in that identity, you, you do and can find your purpose much easier, And I think that we were put here um, to serve our higher power, and that could mean a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. But as you pursue that, like if you are trying to spread the message of God or share your experiences with your friends about God, it's supposed to, I think, be meant as a form of love, right?
Yeah.
Like these things are positively affecting me. I want you to be able to share in that experience, in that joy, right? That life can be different than the struggle that you're going with right now by having faith. And that faith allows you to feel safety and comfort in whatever you're going through, And
I'm gonna try and not derail this because this
mhm,
pertains to this. But I was just watching last night, before we went on our walk. We watched this Elvis documentary,
mhm,
and it's like, I mean, we all know the story of Elvis,
mhm,
but um, there was an aspect of it that I didn't know, which is his spiritual search.
mhm,
And in the documentary, they had his old security that was with him the entire time, and that those were all, part of the interviews and stuff. They also had this guy, Larry, who had come and was his hairstylist, but also his spiritual guide,
mhm,
who would offer him books, would offer him things like that. And Elvis took on to it. Like he was a really smart guy, and he was consistently looking for his purpose. And in that, started to dial into like all of these different religions and stuff, but
mhm,
ultimately like he was a Christian. And but he would use, Indian philosophy,
mhm.
based off religions for meditation. And like,
Yeah.
he grew as that type of person. Obviously addiction and things like that had
Mhm.
really, haunted him,
Yeah.
and losing his mom and like all this other stuff. But it's funny that you bring that up because I just watched that last night, and like the main thing was he was looking for why. Like, why was he gifted with all of this? Why
Mhm.
was he given all of the opportunities and all of this? And
Yeah.
ultimately, it came down to like God. He took it as God loves him and wants him to grow and wants him to share that with other people. And in terms of like their age at the time, Elvis was young and the security team was young, and he was trying to give them the books that he was reading, and everybody else was like, no,
Yeah,
we're
I
not
mean,
about that.
I think a lot of the things that we go through in life, uh, even challenging and hard things, difficult things, are there for a reason. And I think it's to turn you back to God. If you're getting everything you want in life and you can't complain about anything, you might be getting your life laid out for you by the devil,
Yeah.
right? Because that keeps you in the world, right?
Yeah.
It keeps you based in material things and the substances of material things, and you're probably not seeking God out all the time. If you are focused on those things, it could be vanity in everything. There's vanity in everything, even things. It doesn't have to be anything to do with like the looks,
Right.
It could be anything. um so I think we go through hard times to help grow us and develop us, and in order for us to look at the um well, how would you define it? The fragility of the present, right? Like everything that we have, the present is a gift. We don't have to be here right now. We're lucky that we can sit here and have these conversations. I know I've been in plenty of situations where I probably shouldn't still be here,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I speed a lot. That's,
Well,
there's so
countless
many
things.
different
Yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
right? Like things could be different, right?
I mean,
And
this was built based off the fact that I shouldn't be here right now.
right. So we're very blessed to even be here and have the ability to think and talk and walk and all of that, right? And how many of those hard situations do we go through where you feel like you're at the end and you do end up questioning why, and wanting to know the reasons for those things. And I think that people really struggle. Um, I think people really struggle with the whole concept of God and religion because they um, don't know the word, right? Like a lot of people have an opinion about Christianity and the Bible, yet have never actually read the Bible.
Yeah.
I'm somebody like I just got through the Bible, and I would have considered myself like a Christian for a long time. And I can tell you that having actually gone through it and understanding it differently now that I've actually gone through the Bible, it's so much different. And my perspective on life is so much different than having been on the outside of that and just, you know, having thoughts and feelings and opinions about what I'm hearing at church, right? Like you can get great messages and you can get poor messages from church. And that's just somebody trying to relate their message and their perspective on it. Like to really know God, you would have to absorb the word.
I'm trying not to lose this thought. I'm sorry.
Go.
Do you think that people also try to like have this problem with God, or have this problem with religion? Fuck, don't let me lose it. Hang on one second. Figure out the best. Do you think that Do you think that people have a problem with like attaching themselves with a religion or with a God, or following like that word and that path based off the fact that they might have to like let go of the reins and allow somebody else to take control of their lives? But the funny dynamic is the conversation that we just had is that letting go of the reins helps you a lot more than you think it would. And then on top of it, the people who aren't willing to let go of those reins aren't also willing to admit that everything is within their power to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like that's
it's
a
all
really
like a big catch-22.
Exactly.
Right?
Like I always love seeing that. It's like, because and I'm not going to say struggle with that. Like we don't know necessarily. Like deep down, I do believe that there is a God, and I sometimes call it universe.
Yeah. We don't know.
Like exactly,
but that's what having faith is.
Exactly. Right. And that's what I mean. Like that's what we talked about before, where it's like the belief is all inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
All the what is the quote from damn it, what is the name of that book? And I'm getting it from 13 Hours, but it's like all the heavens, all the hells,
Mhm.
or all the
I
heavens,
know
all
what
the
you're
hells
saying.
are within you.
Mhm.
I like wanted this massive tattoo that showed all of these like crazy dynamics of that because,
Mhm.
and I think that's what's might go on my back or wherever, but that, like it, like it really is all a catch 22. And like I'm not going to say I struggle with it because I don't know,
Mhm.
but my relationship with spirituality bounces,
Mhm.
and I don't necessarily know like what stories I believe in. I believe in the concepts and the
The
feel
message
like well
behind.
the message behind, but the feelings that I get too. Like
Mhm.
there's definitely times where I have been like, this is not in my power.
Mhm.
Like I'm feeling something else bringing it in, you
Mhm.
know. And I had this like emotion. It's like I'm gonna break off for just a second, but like I had this emotional time in my life, and it's something that chokes me up because it's something that makes me believe that there is something like another higher power. And I was like at a really hard time in my life, and I was like working, and I had, super hungover and felt like complete shit about what I had done the night before. And, I mean, that all came with suicide ideations. Like all of this shit was happening to me at this point in my life. And I was working over here in Ann Arbor on 7th Street, and we were doing these like 3 or 4 story condominiums right back to back to each other. And I had jumped in, and um, one of my friend's chum, who I just met at that time, it turned out he lived in Manchester and stuff, but like he was working on the garage doors. And in order to get into the apartment, there wasn't a door, there was the garage door. So I was like,
Mhm.
hey man, I got to get in here. I just met him, like walked upstairs, went on the 3rd story, was working in the kitchen. And I'm like just down on myself, like just really fucking, like I was really struggling to
Mhm.
even be there. And I was just trying to be there to know that like I just had to do something or it was going to end really poorly for me that day. And I'm working, and I've got my headphones in, and I turn around and there's a guy there, and he's fucking, like I don't necessarily know the way that I look to other people, but I would almost describe him as looking kind of like me, but in the future. And
Mhm.
like this is maybe I was going crazy,
Mhm.
but he was just kind of like walking around inspecting stuff, and then he walked upstairs and he came back down and he's like talking to me for like half a second, and I was responding as if it was one of the like I don't really want to talk to you kind of deals. Like I had no other inclination other than he was there to inspect some stuff. And I was just kind of like brushing off. Like he would say something and I'd be like, yeah, yeah. And then he just like dead stopped, stared right at me. And I like, it was concerning to me. Like his whole everything changed.
Mhm.
And it was like he stopped and I looked right at him. He said, everything's going to be okay. Turn around, walk downstairs. Like I watched him walk downstairs. And again, there is no stairs to the deck. There's no way out of the roof. There's only the garage door to get down. And Justin or Chum is down there. And I like fucking froze for a solid 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And I like stopped. I dropped everything. I ran down and I went up to Justin and I was like, who the fuck was that guy?
Mhm.
And he's like, who? And I was like, the guy that literally
Mhm.
just came down here. And he's like, dude, the garage door is locked. It's been shut. I'm like building it right now. Like no one's come in or out since you.
Mhm.
And I like
That's
tried,
pretty cool, man.
dude. I tried to find, like if there was ever a moment that kind of, like you
That's
have,
pretty crazy,
yeah.
man.
So like I tried to find another way out of the building. I was like,
Mhm.
maybe they finished the fucking stairs to the deck, and the deck's
Mhm.
3 stories up or 2 stories up, whatever. Like you're not getting off of that. And he's not like Splinter Cell, like
Yeah.
shuffling down. But I'm like, you go through something like that, and this is after like a real that
Mhm.
I had, and like my darkest moments, and it might have been like 3 4 nights or 3 4 days after that had happened. Like I'm really lost in the reasoning as to
Mhm.
why I that wasn't a successful attempt, and I didn't know who I was or why I was or whatever.
Mhm.
And then this moment happens, right? and then you do everything in your power to try and
Rationalize it.
justify it and
Mhm.
rationalize and go, there's no way. Like
Mhm.
there is no way. And I still to this day, like it's funny because I get emotional about it, and it's more of a joyful side
Yeah.
to it now.
Mhm.
Whereas before it was like, there's no fucking way. Like
Mhm.
that, like I wasn't saved. I can't be this, I can't be that. And I still like the spiritual side of me, and I didn't mean to cut off for so much, but like the spiritual side of me is like I bounce around and grab the aspects of the
Mhm.
of like my favorite aspects of each religion that I
Mhm.
really like. And then I come back to Christianity.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I developed my relationship with God, and I guess got further into Christianity, but that was coming off of having cancer and other elements in life that were extremely difficult. And in searching out meaning and self-realization in other types of philosophy and religion, it all, I guess, brought me back to Christianity. Um, I've read a lot on Buddhism, Hinduism, um, different religions. I mean, I've read through um, many religious texts and philosophies of life, right? And I think that there are elements of truth in all of them, because I think, God has a universal message for everyone. But I think as we seek that out further and further, um, you will be led back to this place. And for me, I've continued to be led back to the scripture and to the Bible. And there are correlations with other religions and other philosophies, but you know, there are countless stories of people, and there are books on it, of people trying to disprove Jesus, and Christianity, um, that end up becoming saved, because there is so much fact that can be cross-checked with history, and other elements of history that,
Do
that
you
is the
think that
truth.
that deters people too, believing that a person was placed on a cross, or like a person was, dead when they put him in and came out, like do you think that the story itself
I th-
is
I
it can
think,
deter people?
I mean, I think that the amount of information that's in the world, just in general, really makes it difficult to seek truth. There's just so much information about so many different things. And, a lot of people will just go right off of what the internet tells them about
Right.
something and take that to be fact. And um, I think a lot of people struggle because they're interpreting that story and the message of God and the Bible and all of that. I think they are going into it based off of their own perception, where you can't understand the full context of it unless you actually read it. Like, unless you're actually reading it and applying it to your life and really trying to grow in it and understand it, like, how would you know anything about the truth in the Bible if you don't ever read it?
Right.
It's all just a guess. It's, I mean, that's true for a lot of different things, but a lot of, like, I only know a handful of people that really have actually read through the Bible, you know,
Yeah.
but they
I
all
mean,
have,
I
but they
haven't.
all have
It's
an opinion on it.
Oh, it's funny
Right.
that you like I
And
said, like
I
having
was
this.
one of them. Let me
Yeah.
just say,
Yeah.
like, I've been one
Like
of them for
yeah.
years. And then I actually have gone through it and read it. And like, I want to go through it and read it again, and with
I'll
a
have to
study
talk to you
Bible
about
and get
that.
into it
Yeah.
more in depth, because there's a lot more information in there than just what's on the surface, right?
I'll
There's a lot more to it.
I'll have
Um,
to talk to you about that too, because it's always been a book that you get into it, and when you're actually physically reading it, it's a lot harder than
mhm.
having like the tale of listening to
Some of
it.
it's hard to get through. Some of it's hard to listen to.
Yeah.
Some of it is boring. Like, there are parts of it that like were a struggle to get
Yeah.
through. But as I've been through it now it gives me a different perception
Yeah.
on what I was reading, where it's
And
like,
then you
oh,
can go
that could be
back, yeah.
useful,
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's the same thing with any book. Like there are portions of certain books that
Mhm,
just it's hard to get through. I mean, that's
mhm.
like the book, right? But yeah, I mean, you read 48 Laws of Power, and it's
Mhm.
like, God damn, I can't
It's
understand. But then all of a
a
sudden, it's
wordy
like, oh
book.
shit, it hits, and then you
Right.
go back through and you re-listen to the chapter, and you're like, oh wait, I missed this. Oh wait, I
Mhm.
missed this, and you go back and you
Yeah.
reread it
And
again, and
and
it's
what you're
like,
going through in life and what you're experiencing can affect that,
yeah,
right? Like, there are books that I've read more than once that I draw completely different messaging from,
hmm,
depending on where I'm at in life and my perspective in life at
yeah.
that moment,
That's half the
and
reason I like writing notes in books too, is like this is what I was feeling this time. If I
yeah.
go back and reread a book,
Mhm.
it's like, oh shit, I completely forgot I even went
Right.
through that.
Right.
And also, I'm not even seeing it that way this
Mhm.
time. I'm seeing the perspective of this because
Mhm.
I'm going through this aspect
Yeah.
of life, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it is like the way that we morph and change as humans is it's such a fun thing to like.
Mhm.
I used to think of it as like a terrible thing to change. And the way that I can witness it happen in myself and therefore be able to watch it happen in other people, it's really like just a fun experiment that
Mhm.
people are. And also how relatively similar
Mhm.
all of our behavior patterns can be
Oh, yeah.
based off of like one thing happening in our life. And
Mhm.
that's why cliches work. And that's
Mhm.
why, advice from taking advice from somebody who's actually been through it works.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man. I've been into like, that kind of thing lately. And when it comes to spiritualism, when it comes to God, it's like I said, it's not something that I run away from anymore. It's something that like looking back on the story that I had said,
I mean, that's a powerful story,
yeah,
man.
3 years ago,
That's
I would have been running from it still, and
yeah.
now it's like I still get choked up and still get emotional because it's
Yeah.
such like a weird
As you
thing.
should.
Yeah,
As you should. If that,
and
like,
my friend Chum too. Like, I bet you I could talk to him about that, and I bet you he
he
doesn't
wouldn't
even
even
remember
remember.
being like, "What?"
Mhm.
Like, unless he had the inclination that, dude, this fucking dude's crazy.
Mhm.
But I had a lot more experience with him like out after that. Like, we
Mhm.
became good friends after that, and it's
Yeah.
like but I never talked to him about that again.
Mhm.
I never explained that story because it's something that I've always kept in until,
Yeah, maybe it wasn't for him,
well, yeah, and
you know?
it's always like that story for me is something that I hold dear,
Mhm.
but I also was like I would only outwardly tell people if I had a few too many cocktails
Mhm.
and we were talking about God.
Yeah.
Being because it was almost like and again, I don't carry this now, but the reason that I wouldn't talk about it is it was almost like I was in fear of the fact that I might actually be able to believe in something.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
Dude,
oh
there's
shit.
yeah, there's so much wrapped around people's fear to believe,
Mhm.
right? Or uncertainty to believe. There's people's opinions and not wanting to be judged. And, um, it's almost like for myself, I shied away from aspects of it for a long time because it was like, I know that there's a different standard that I should be living. And I either don't want to or don't know how to. So I'm not going to say that I am or try because then that just shows how far away I am from that. Like, but at the end of the day, like if you're making those decisions that you know aren't good for you or make you a better person, then it doesn't matter if you believe or not. If you're still being a bad person,
Yeah.
if you're still being shitty towards people, then what difference does that make? And so I think people have different perceptions on like the word, and I think religion has a lot to do with that. And I guess I believe that beyond religion there are messages that the Bible or Jesus have tried to put out there, right? And I think that you can still get those same lessons in life and in other areas or philosophies or religions, you know. I do think that that's possible. I think you can live righteously and you might not ever really know the Bible. However, I think that there is a different level of connection that can be attained through reading the word, right? Like, I think it is a powerful text, and I think it is something that can benefit you if you choose to utilize it and such and not be afraid of it. But it's hard because, when you read it, then that's like there's an expectation attached to that. And
Well, I mean,
there's people
there's a
feel
political
judged.
act.
Yeah, people feel judged because of religion, and they look at history and have misconceptions of history and what like religion has done or not done that have affected the world, and people might have negative opinions based on that.
The Bad Project is about finding those small distractions that keep you moving when life tries to pin you down. That's what our gear stands for. They're reminders you can wear, carry, and share to push through those hard days. Every shirt, every hat, every sticker helps spread the message. When you're wearing it, you're not just buying our merch, you're backing the mission. We're building more than just a brand. As we roll out bad activity events, your support helps make them possible. With new drops, holiday specials, and surprises always around the corner, we really are just getting started. If you want to go even deeper, hit our new Patreon for Bad Thoughts episodes, bonus content, behind the scenes, and a closer seat in this community we're building. We're even doing giveaways. So check out the gear at thebadproject.com, hit our Patreon, and follow us on all the socials to stay locked in. This movement's only growing, and you're going to be a part of it. Thanks for everything you guys are doing. Love you all.
Cass & Co. Upscale Thrift is redefining resale. Think timeless fashion, luxury brands, and curated pieces, all at prices that let you stay stylish without the splurge. Whether you're hunting for vintage classics or this season's designer staples, we'll make high-end accessible. Dress like you own the runway for a fraction of the price.
Every crew's got that one guy who shows up late, drinks gas station mud, and wonders why he feels like trash by lunch. Don't be that guy. Construction Coffee Co. isn't cheap sludge. It's small batch coffee roasted to keep you moving when everyone else is crying about their backs. Smooth enough to sit black, strong enough to keep you upright when your foreman's breathing down your neck. Fuck that guy. And yeah, they've got gear too. Shirts, hats, workwear built tough enough for the job site, not that pajama junk your apprentice wears. This stuff actually holds up when you're crawling through mud or hanging steel. They're there for you to roast beans and roast you, just like you do with your buddies on the job, because that's the culture. Talk trash, laugh hard, and get it done. Construction Coffee Co. Clock in, drink up, shut up. Go to constructioncoffeeco.com to get yours.
But I think what had initially started the whole conversation with all this was when I had said what the service was about today, which was like if your life and your words were a review on God or the church, what kind of review would it be? And I think that's kind of ties into people looking at religion and thinking that Christians are hypocrites or whatever. Well, yeah, some of them are. I'm sure a lot of them are,
yeah.
Because they're trying to go and tell people how they should live while not really upholding the word. But that's why knowing scripture and knowing and having that relationship personally on a higher level is important. Because if you have that relationship and you have that understanding, then you know who's full of it and who's not. Like, it's easy to tell. But when you want to sit on the sidelines and be like, oh, I'm going to judge this person, I'm going to judge this group or think these things while not having any contextual understanding, it's like, well, you're just as off as they are. Everybody's wrong. You both are wrong then, So I think it's important to know that information so that you can come from a place of understanding as you look and judge and think and feel different things about it, and a lot of people, I think a lot of Christians even don't really communicate effectively what the word is.
Yeah. Well, based on
they
the fact
don't
that
know.
Yeah.
Because they haven't read it. Yeah. And we all know what living in a good way is supposed to look like, just in society and having a value system. But what is your value system? I actually was looking at something the other day, and I thought, and what led me to this was you told me that you and Matt had a podcast where you talked about being a man of your word, right? And that got me thinking, well, what is a man of his word, and where does that come from, right? What convictions and value system is that man attached to that make him think and feel the way that he does? And that got me into thinking about who we look up to. And generally speaking, I think anybody that's trying to grow in a positive way in life, I think that they look up to and respect men of values, right? And higher value systems generally come off of faith, right? Having a higher power, having a faith in something more than yourself to create that value system of what's important and what's not, which got me into thinking about what are those people serving? Like, what do you serve? If you're not serving God, if you're not serving your higher power, what are you serving then? Is it just your desire
For
to,
yourself.
yeah, like you're serving yourself, you're serving some form of vanity, like within life, you're serving monetary value, is it money? Is it a job? Is it the career, someone else,
Yeah.
yourself? Like, what is it that makes that man's word valuable? Because like everybody's got their word, but like, what is it that makes it valuable or not? And what are they attached to? Who are they and what are they rooted in that makes their word valuable?
Yeah.
Right? Because somebody that doesn't, like, from my perception, somebody that doesn't have a true connection with their God, what does their word really mean? Because their word can change anytime.
Right.
And I'm an example of that. What I think is important and of value has changed over time drastically. And
I mean, don't you think that's a beneficial thing?
I think it's something that happens naturally as we grow. But then,
Like, I understand having the higher power to always have that aspect, like always have.
it's a
that
value
value to
system
go
that doesn't
through. Yeah,
change.
right.
It's a value system.
I mean, those
that,
are set rules that to live by.
Well, it's not just rules. Like there is sin, right? Like there are the 10 commandments, and those are all rooted in what I think societally we can all agree are important things to not do in life, right? But going beyond that and looking into the word, there's a lot more ways to sin than just the 10 commandments, right? There's all sorts of different ways. And I don't think, like, I think it's important to be mindful of sin and what's good and what's not, but it's really going back to the value system of what is that all worth to someone. I think as you're evolving through life, your value system does change, and what's going on in your life is going to create context for that, what your word is, right? Like my word is different now having kids than what it used to be. And my sense of self is different because of my kids, right? So like different experiences will create a different sense of self. But having knowledge in something beyond yourself and understanding now that I've gone through it and read it, like I have a different view on life and my life and how it relates to the world around me.
Yeah. And how it relates to God. So like the concept of that, like, so when it comes to work, when it comes to business, like when it comes to all of those things, I've told you before, like I like to be a jack of all trades when it comes to that. I don't need to be a master of it or a master of it. And when it comes to, religion, when it comes to like the understanding of where other people come from, like even having that portion, like being a jack of all trades, like you don't have to necessarily understand every little aspect, but reading a book will get you reading the Bible will get you so much further in an understanding. And I think that's why I've had like this urge to kind of get into the reading of it. Like I've tried.
Well, it's hard to conceptualize certain things without reading about it, right? Like how can you really judge, even if you don't agree with the way that people
do
act,
all the time.
They
They really do. But it's not just that. I mean, it dials down to like people will throw their fucking opinion out there with no actual understanding. I mean, it can go to diet, it can go to working out, it can go to the religions, it can go to politics, it can go to whatever. Not everybody, a lot of people feel entitled that their opinion matters based off the fact that they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Right. And that goes for all levels. Yes. That goes to the crackhead down the street, all the way up to the highest power on a political level.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that in terms of like religion or whatever, I think the best examples of Christians are not necessarily the ones that go around telling you how to live and what to think and feel. I think I think what I've gotten from it is you should be trying to live your life a certain kind of way that people look to and they're like, "Oh wow, this person seems like they feel good," or they seem
Yeah.
like you basically should be an example to what it can be like with that relationship, right?
Right.
Like the goal isn't necessarily to go and explain this stuff to someone in a way that makes them want to believe. It's you live your life in a certain kind of way that they're like, wow, that's wonderful. That person has joy within them. I would love to experience that also. And that's
Yeah.
supposed to draw them into that. And some people are just so opinionated that they feel like they have to give that everywhere. Now you're also supposed to try and spread that message, right? But
Yeah. That is part of it.
it's supposed to be a message of like love and joy, right? And like, hey, you can have this too. But I don't think it has to always be pushed or forced, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to live my life in a better way in the hopes that I can have a deeper connection. And I've noticed when I do those things, these types of conversations come up more where it's like maybe somebody's curious about something. And if I can give them my perspective on it, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or that I actually know or not, but like this is what I'm perceiving based off of what I'm experiencing. And if you're interested in it, you should also potentially check it out.
Yeah.
It's worth
Right.
understanding. And then the service today where it was talking about what type of review are you leaving God based on the way you live your life and what you say about God and how you go about it. It's like in thinking about that, it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't usually talk about it to many people. So I guess I'm not leaving any review,
Hmm.
which is that good or bad? I don't know. But I think it's important to be able to share that it's worth looking into. And how can you even talk about it or give your perception or perspective on what that whole religion is wrapped around if you've never even read the book,
Yeah.
and so I mean I think that's part of the dilemma that a lot of people have. Like I don't think you can really give an opinion one way or another unless you're actually seeking it out,
Right.
and
And have some kind of understanding of it.
yeah.
What were you introduced to Christianity as a kid?
Yeah, I mean my family, my mom wasn't necessarily super religious. I know my mom has always believed, but I had gone with my grandparents, great grandparents when I was young, and
I mean,
kind
we
of faded out like as a teenager.
yeah.
And I definitely made a lot of bad decisions, which um, I don't think during that time I was really seeking out a relationship. But I've always had like a knowing within myself. Like I've always felt that there is something, and I don't think going to church as a kid made me feel that. Like I just have always had an inner knowing that I have something within me, my soul, which is tied to something greater than myself.
Yeah.
And I have always wanted to explore life on a deeper level. So I've always had that natural inclination to figure it out.
It's funny that you say that too, because like me and you relate quite a bit, and I feel as if I'm, we're never going to be on the same path, right? But I feel as after like this discussion, it's like I'm a few years or a year or two behind that aspect of like reading the Bible and
Mhm.
like and feeling. I don't know if I'm gonna feel exactly how you do, but like
You
that's
might
kind of
not.
what it was for me when I grew up actually in this house. Like we went to church, and my idea of church was I was really young. Every Sunday we get donuts. That
Mhm.
was my idea of church
Yeah.
until it started to get a little older and
Mhm.
like I actually rationalized things and understood what good and bad was and just my parents teaching me to be a good fucking person.
Mhm.
And then my mom like allowed us to have the choice later after we had completed catechism to be like, it's your choice. You can go to church or not. On top of that, where we were going to church, like we went from here where my mom loved going to church and loved
Mhm.
the pastor and loved the like loved the dynamic there,
Mhm.
and we went somewhere else, and it immediately, you could see it was immediately about give me the
Mhm.
money and
Yeah,
give me
and
all the
that's
things, and
that
like that's
yeah.
another deterrent. But and we could go into that too, right? Like that's definitely a big thing, and you especially that gets outed
Mhm.
nowadays because there's social media and stuff like
Mhm.
that. You will get caught if you're doing things for the wrong reasons.
Mhm.
And my path kind of did the same thing.
Mhm.
I ditched. I'm like, I'm good on this whole thing. Like, I understand it. And I'm not sure if I believe the story. And I'm not sure of that. And I had my teenage years of, you know, making decisions that weren't
Mhm.
fucking great. And I furthered through life. But I also had that concept of like, there's something larger than me. I have a capability of trying to choose and try to figure out what that is, but there's
Mhm.
something larger than me at play here. And I would always turn on talking to something,
Mhm.
and I don't necessarily know for me if that's God or the universe or it is all in one. And
Mhm.
I, that is my belief now is that, when I say the universe, I still mean God, but it's almost like I refer to the universe as um, it's funny, like you said, sugarcoat, but like as a sugar coated way for other people
Right.
to understand what I'm trying to
Yeah. I
say.
mean, Marcus Aurelius referred to the nature of things.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about,
Is God.
right?
Yeah.
There's the
Is God the
universe, the
universe?
nature of the
Yeah.
universe, the nature of the world. Um, I think that everything you're saying is relatable and understandable. And I think that's why if more people were actually seeking answers in like scripture and going to scripture, you wouldn't see as much of that going on. People would check their pastors, they would check these
Hmm.
people, right? And because so many people just go to be in the motions and they go like say that they did kind
Yeah.
of thing, right? They'll
I
go to
donated the
church, they'll
money.
listen to
I
music.
went to this.
Tithing is rooted in faith.
Yeah.
It's you're paying it forward,
Yeah.
right? Like if it's really being utilized the right way, a lot of good churches will do good things in the
Oh yeah.
community and to
Yeah.
help people, and you're paying it forward, and it's a form of I'm giving this because I know God's going to do good work with it,
Yeah.
and then that's ultimately going to also bless my life because I'm going to have a community
Yes.
of people that are trying to help each other and that love each other,
Yeah.
right? Some people take advantage of
Are we
that and
starting a
some don't.
church? Because like
I
that's
don't
almost
know,
the
dude.
identical way of
I
how I try to explain the bad project too. It's like, oh, well, we're putting forth our time, our effort to create a community of people who are putting forth their time and their
yeah,
effort,
that's what it
who are
is.
putting like there
Right.
is no pyramid scheme if we're
Right.
all like stacked on
But
top of each other,
so
right?
so in the same example, right? Like what is like we can do all that, right? But how do we know how we define what
Yes.
the purpose of that is?
Yeah.
It's in the mission statement.
Yeah.
What's our mission statement, right? So like that's
Yeah.
how you could relate it to religion. It's like
Well,
we
that
have
is
goals, we
why
have an
they're
understanding of
yeah.
what we're doing
That
and
is
how it's going to help people,
yeah.
but there is a mission statement that directs that,
Yes.
right? And how would you ever even know whether or not what you're hearing is the truth or not, or what it's
Hmm.
rooted in if you never read the mission statement?
Yeah.
And the mission statement is the Bible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's been proven.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube series I'll send you. Um, I forget his last name, but Wes, something.
Craven.
No,
I
Wes.
don't
Anybody that watches this type of stuff for YouTube would know
yeah.
who it is. But he does a whole series on like proving the authenticity of the Bible or not, and it's really interesting. A little documentary that he made. And
I mean, I'd love to watch it.
It's those types of things have created more clarity for me that are like, okay, like gives you other places to look and research things. And, I think it's important for everybody. Like I shied away from it for a long time, actually reading the Bible because I didn't know what to expect. Some of it's boring. There's a few sections of it that I find to be very interesting that I felt like really applied to my life and that made me want to dive in deeper. And there's other sections that I was just like, oh, man, getting through this is tough. But now that I've gotten through it all, it's like, oh, I have different context about that other section now, which could mean something different. Let me get back into it and understand that, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of the Old Testament's a lot of fire and brimstone. And that's, I think, what the point of the New Testament is and Jesus coming around was supposed to be. about. And I think it's important for everybody to actually try to read it, to understand it, to have context for those conversations and that dialogue, you know?
I would also agree. I mean, with the fact that people should read it. I mean, I need to, and I've had the urge to. It's not, but when it comes down to religion, it's almost like if I could tell anybody, to make a point of what we're trying to make, it doesn't necessarily have to be Christianity. It has to be like if you're in search of your purpose could be higher than you. Your
Right.
purpose, it letting go of the reins. And I keep saying that because there's a song, and I don't even know if I've shared it with you. It was the Steelwoods, and one of their last songs was I guess not one of their last songs. It was Wes Bayless is the lead singer,
Mhm.
and they didn't break up as a group, but they stopped going on tour and they stopped the band because they had a hard time after one of their band members had passed, and they
Mhm.
went on for years after that, and they made great music and stuff, but there was always something there that they were struggling with, and Wes had th they had made a post, and Wes had expressed that they were kind of diminishing the band because he wanted to spend more time with his family, wanted to be more of a man of God, and now he's his own lone singer and he's his own lone artist, and he's working in songwriting, he's working in this own aspect of himself going on tour.
Mhm.
When we went to the Ryman in Nashville on the last show that they had, one of the last songs that they played, or that he had played, was the Mustang, and I'm gonna send it to you.
Mhm.
And again, I'd love for us at some point to be able to actually throw on headphones and be able to listen something, and we'd have to cut it out, but people can pause it and go play the song. We'll do. I'll have it figured out on the next one.
I won't then just save it and I'll listen to it next time,
Yeah.
when we
Okay.
decide to
All
do
right.
that.
Yeah, we'll do that. But the concept of that song is all about him letting go
Mhm.
and realizing that the Mustang letting itself be free is letting go of the reins to allow God to tell him
Mhm.
what to do,
Yeah.
you know? And it's something that hit hard, like we had been going through, like Gordon's passing and stuff at that time. And like, that fucking hit, and it was like, man, and I struggled with that kind of like that concept of letting go and letting God take the reins.
Mhm.
And I know that I haven't necessarily done that completely, but I'm inching towards like this more of a spiritual aspect of like letting nature, letting the nature of things, letting the universe, letting God take care of the things that I ultimately don't have control over.
Mhm.
If I have to walk away from a situation, it's like I can't control that situation. That's up to nature. That's up to, God, the universe, or whatever. And I think in search of purpose, you um
A higher power.
eventually find faith
Yeah.
in something.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to tell people what to believe in. I
No, of
don't
course.
necessarily know if I believe what I believe in,
But
but
if you're not searching for something beyond yourself,
yeah,
then your faith is all about you.
yeah,
Your value system is what you think,
yeah.
right? And
And that's a
we're all
narcissist.
just yeah, right. We're all
Yeah.
just who we are. We're all just people, and I think the greatest minds um, that have shared knowledge of how to grow as people had some sort of faith-based system in their life and had an understanding of a higher power and God to them, and I think that's where a lot of good information comes from. It's people going beyond themselves. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's something that everybody should try and explore
Oh.
and, seek truth, because what is your value system? What do you serve? Who are you serving? If
And
it's
if
just
you're
yourself,
just
then
yourself, then yeah.
then that doesn't mean much to me.
Yeah.
Being a man
I
of
mean,
your
there's
word,
there's a
like you
there's a
can be a great, honorable person and give me your word, but
well, there
if
comes a point, right? Like obviously searching for something more and searching for that higher power and having something to serve is great. You also need to be able to help yourself. You also need to be able to serve yourself, but ultimately that only gets you so far.
Mhm.
And that only gets you so far as being like, develop yourself 100%. You're still going to feel like you're missing something.
Yeah, I mean,
At least that's my perception of any of the books that I've read. It doesn't matter how much you work on yourself. It's funny how long ago you can go, like, and how recent you can go in books and in influencers and all of this stuff. And eventually, it doesn't matter how, like, take it as the aspect, and people talk about it all the time. Like, you could have everything. Like, I could give you $100 billion right
Mhm.
now. You could live that life for 10 years. There's
Mhm.
still going to be a portion of you if you haven't worked on yourself, if you
Mhm.
haven't worked on your faith, if you haven't worked on anything,
Mhm.
that is going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
And you could work on yourself solely and build a business worth $100 billion.
Mhm.
There's still an aspect of you that probably will, and I only say that based off of the people who have done that
Yeah.
explaining it. There's still an aspect of you that stays awake in the middle of the night wondering what your fucking purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when people attach that aspect of you are your purpose, like it's all about you, like that can't be true. And because there's so many
It's
people. So if
yeah,
everybody was there, if everybody
was just
was
self-serving,
just self-serving,
where would we be?
we would be really hard off.
Yeah. I mean, it made me think about, for whatever reason, my mind went down this road when I was thinking about that, right? Like, who do you serve? All of that. What's your value system? How does that change depending on the circumstances of life, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like a person that's rooted in faith and you know, their God. That value system doesn't necessarily change, right? Like, you're not supposed to kill people.
Right.
And I started thinking about, well, what about, like, how does this value system and helping people or hurting people correlate depending on the circumstances of life? And I'm like, well, right now when everything's good, everybody would say, well, it's good not to hurt people, right? But like, what if there was like a zombie apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
Well, then we all know, like, you have to take care of yourself and you have to be willing to harm others in order to protect yourself. But was playing that out further, and it's like, well, what if you're on an island, right? And if self preservation, if your purpose is to protect yourself to the point that you'll harm others so that they can't harm you, if you're on that island, eventually you're going to kill everybody else on the island and then you're going to be there by yourself.
Hmm.
Is that really the highest purpose? Is that really
Right.
the highest value system or highest value that you can create on that island? Or would it be to figure out how to help other people, to help each other, to then grow and thrive and prosper, you know? And I'm somebody that's like, I'm ready for it. Like, it might be easier, might be easier than current life for,
Yeah.
for those of us who are, striving for certain things that feel pretty difficult to get or unachievable. But in reality, like, that's what it all comes down to. How can you help other people that you care about to also be successful, to also create value in their lives, to where then you're thriving with each other and growing, as opposed to, like, I'll help you enough until you're a threat, and then you're a danger to me, And I don't know.
I
It was a
think
weird thought.
no,
That's
I
just
think
how my
that's a
mind
great
works,
I think that's a great ending
So
to it. I mean that is the point, right? Like, where do you draw the line, or do you go all the way?
yeah.
Right? I think going all the way is the answer.
Hmm.
Um, you don't, just because I I had heard something like about coaching and stuff like that, and it's like some people get upset, like a coach will get upset or will wish not to teach more. I've had it happen in my life. Like,
Hmm.
somebody didn't want to teach me because I was over what their capabilities were.
Hmm.
And it's like, no, that defines you as a good coach.
Hmm.
If you can make somebody better than you faster than you did,
Hmm.
like, that defines you as a person. It defines you as a coach. It
Yeah.
defines you as capable of showing people the system, showing people the way, showing people the word.
Yeah,
Like,
the smartest owners hire people that are smarter than them
yes.
to
Yeah.
to help them
Yeah.
make the business better.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like, this isn't Caesar and you're not going to get killed
Right.
based off the fact that somebody wants you out. Like, yeah, let's end it there. That was good.
I would just say don't be afraid to read it.
Okay.
Right? You can't conceptualize it fully and understand it fully without
Right.
reading
Well, you
into
can
it.
read it,
And even if you read it,
if you don't
you
like
might
it,
not.
yeah. If you don't like it, then fuck it.
Yeah.
You know, you tried.
I think if you read it with the intention to allow it
Yes.
to make a difference in your life, and you don't just read it from like a
spiteful
something
kind
to
of,
right.
yeah.
Like I think if you
I'm going to read it just
yeah.
to make points.
I think if you read it thinking I'm going to allow this, to take an effect on my life and apply what I can to the things that I'm,
even if you choose not to believe the story, if you
Right.
choose not to believe, certain aspects of it,
there's
but like
good
if
in the
you-
book,
Yeah, exactly.
even if you don't believe it, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you have an open mind to it, the right intentions, open intentions for it to affect your life in a positive way, I don't know how it couldn't make you want to be better and live a better lifestyle, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's worth checking out.
All right. You did?